Well, welcome back, guys. We have been out shooting the Nordic series. We finally got back. It is beginning of October, and we have a new build. So on this series of shop talks, we are going to be taking you guys through the new Sequoia. We're gonna be exploring the ins and outs. It's all new to us. We have not seen it yet, driven it yet, so we're really excited to start driving it, figuring out what's changed, what's different, and then we're gonna start building our newest XO build. We're gonna take a lot of the things that we've learned from our Tundra, which is essentially the same kind of platform and drivetrain. We're also gonna take inspiration from Samson, which was our 2016 Land Cruiser, and we're gonna take all those things that we have kind of figured out and we're gonna put it together and we're gonna build a brand new Sequoia. But first we gotta drive it. It's completely factory, bone stock, nothing's been done, doesn't even have floor mats in it. And we're just gonna drive it and see how it feels, check out some of the features on it, and come along for the ride. Gonna go for a drive. This is our first drive in it. Super smooth and quiet. The model that we're gonna build that we're driving here is the Limited with the TRD Off-Road Package. That package means that it comes with a factory rear e-locker, multi-train select, and some other off-road goodies. What's also cool about this system over other hybrid systems is it's not sacrificing the traditional drivetrain performance. All it's doing is basically adding in line that electric motor, so you're still using the full grunt of the gasoline engine. It's not gonna have the extreme miles per gallon benefit of other hybrid systems because it is a big boxy SUV, but it's gonna be better than if it was just a standard twin turbo V6 without a hybrid system. Well, because we're children, and a way to really tell the performance of a vehicle, obviously, is to do 0 to 60. So that's what we're doing. Okay, clear stretch of closed road, professional driver at the wheel. Wow. 6.48 seconds. According to my stopwatch. Considering we're in a big 8-seater SUV, that's fast. That felt great. You could definitely feel that really instant low down torque. I mean, it really pulled hard off the line, and that's where that electric motor is gonna benefit you, because electric motors don't need a spool or rev. It's instant power output. I mean, you could definitely feel it there. That felt great. This thing is fun to drive. I'm gonna be very curious to see how it feels after we're done building it, because we are gonna be adding a lot of weight. We're gonna be lifting it. It's gonna not have the aerodynamics that it has from the factory, so we're gonna be curious to see what changes with our build. But it's really nice to start with this kind of power, because what we're finding with 10-speed transmissions, a lot of power, the bigger tires, the more weight, you don't have as many drawbacks as you used to have with older vehicles that didn't have as much power to start with. So the benefits are already gonna really help us out, I think. All right, so let me show you some of the features of the rear seat room and just the inside of the new Sequoia. So in the back of the new Sequoia is very similar to the new Tundras. Same type of seats, soft tex leather. Now they actually have full climate controls right here, AC plug up to 400 watts, and then a standard USB-A and a fast USB-C fast charge port, which is a nice little feature. And the doors pull out shade, which is pretty standard on a lot of other vehicles, but it's just a neat little thing to have if you have kids or just want to block more sun coming in. Inside, legroom. With the front driver's seat in my driving position, you have a ton of legroom. These seats also recline, which is nice on a long road trip. That's one of the benefits of building a vehicle like this when we're doing long touring type of trips for up to 2 months in multiple countries, it's nice to have a comfortable spot to sit and work. But in this Sequoia, we have the third row, which again, we're gonna be pulling it out, but we just wanna show it to you guys because as a normal family vehicle, this can be very beneficial. Now to get into the third row, you got a lever here. You pull it, this folds up, and then you just step right in. Pull this guy. And even though I am 6 foot tall, it's still comfortable. The headroom is a little tight, but all in all, considering it's a third row, it's fairly comfortable. Now that you guys have seen the features of the new 2023 Sequoia, we're gonna build it. We're gonna make this a very special Expedition Overland build. So the first step we need to do is start tearing into it and finding out what's what. I need to try to get a game plan formulated on where wires are gonna be routed and other things, because they did change up some stuff on this. And I believe tomorrow we have suspension coming from Icon. So we're gonna get all the suspension installed on this. Hopefully we got some power brakes that we're gonna put on it. We're gonna start the build process, so stay tuned. Speaking of the battery system, I'll show you. It's kind of throwing us for a little bit of a loop, at least for me anyways, just trying to process it in my head. Normally on Orion, our other Tundra, the battery is underneath the hood on the passenger side, and here is in the driver's side rear storage area side panel. So this is the starter battery. You got your jack for tire changes. We're gonna have to figure out some ideas. Probably gonna incorporate goose gear, because we're gonna do a full goose gear rear system in this, so we might incorporate goose gear into this system. But yeah, that'll be something we'll need to figure out. All right, guys, so the other big deadline that we haven't mentioned yet, we are building it for the SEMA Auto Show at the beginning of November. So we were trying to get this truck built as far along as we can into an X-Overland build for the debut at SEMA at Toyota's booth. So we just got our Icon CD EV suspension. It's all 3.0 front coilovers. Rear, I believe, 3.0 rear shocks, all of with the new electronic valving control. Upper control arms, we even have power brake package that was originally designed for Orion, but since we have them here, the guy at Power Brake said that they should work on the Sequoia because it all shares the same componentry. But yeah, so big brakes, all new suspension. Let's get to it. Get a little peek under the wheel here. With the bigger tires that we're gonna be putting on, that goes with the lift, because we are going to 35 mud terrains on the Sequoia, just like on our Tundra. This is gonna have to get trimmed out, which the nice thing about these is there's not a body mount right here. You have to do a body mount chop on. The body mount's actually further back, but there is just this metal nub that's coming off the body mount that just gets hacked off. And then once we get all the suspension on, we'll be putting our power brakes on. Yep. Okay. But here's a shop talk top tip. If you're doing suspension work, anything that you do at one side and then the other side, I always like to do each step on both sides. So I just undid the shocks. I know I need a 19 and a 9mm to hold the top nut, and then a 17 on the impact. Instead of doing one side all the way, then going to the other side and trying to find all your same tools again, just mirror every step, just mirror it on the other side of the truck. So that way it eliminates trying to dig around and refine tools to go back to do that same step later. Do that. So the next step is I'm gonna lower the vehicle all the way to the ground with all the 4 tires off. We'll get it really nice and low. I can do the upper control arm bolts. I need to prep it by disconnecting the knuckle here, but having it down on the ground, I'll also be able to mount the brain for the shocks as well. And so I'm gonna mount the brain and start on the front with the upper control arm. Sweet, so the brain installed with very little problems there. It was very obvious with the bracket where it would mount. It's nice and level up and down, solid. Before we plug anything in though, I need to do the front suspension, and then we'll have all the wires that'll plug into here. So the next step, do upper control arms, front coilovers, new tires and wheels put on, and power brakes. Suspension's on. There's a few quick things we got to button up. Wiring, we got to cut that little tab that's not a body mount, the non-body mount body mount. Got to cut that off. Finish the wiring and put the tires back on. So we'll probably do that Monday because it's the weekend. We're exhausted. We want to go home. We'll see you guys on Monday. So the last stage of our suspension install on our Sequoia is hooking up the CD-EV portion. We already mounted the brain earlier. I've routed all the wires from all 4 shocks to this area, and then you have this little harness that comes with the kit. You got 4 channels that you just plug all 4 shocks into, and then this will plug into the brain, and then you have an accessory power, which will go to a fuse that's just accessory on, a full-time power, which will go to the battery, and then 2 ground cables, which I'll just combine and ground to the body down here with another body ground. So basically I just need to finish wiring that, plug it in, and the system will be up and running. Okay, all shocks found. So now when I go back to my dashboard, so this is the truck, you can increase or decrease the valving in the shocks. So if you're on really rough roads, you turn them down. You can turn them up if you need stiffer ride on the highway. They even have 2 presets. They have normal, which is 2 and 2, off-road, which they stiffen it up a little bit, and then tow haul, which stiffens up the rear more than the front. And then it also automatically communicates to the shocks and will automatically change valving, detecting how much articulation you're on. So if you're on the road driving at 70, it'll stiffen them up. If you go off-road and start hitting a lot of bumps, it will change the valving to 1,000 adjustments a second it can send to it. suspension, even though it's not adjusted down and it's sitting up a lot. It's a bone stock Sequoia, no trimming at all except for what we did in here at the frame. This is 35s with the correct offset of wheel. It looks pretty good. So that's pretty cool. 35s will fit with a lifted stock Sequoia. We're not gonna adjust the suspension or align it until we're done with the build. There's still a lot of weight with a front CBI bumper, a winch. We're gonna be doing a roof rack on top, skid plates, so it's gonna drop some, but we're gonna wait until we do all that before we do the alignment and everything else, because we'd have to do it twice, so there'd be no sense in doing it. But this concludes this part of the shop talk. We'll see you on the next one.